Hey everybody, it's Malcolm. It's been a little while since I've done a full format YouTube video, but I'm really excited about this monochrome sensor camera that I just built last month, and I want to give you a quick walkthrough of the camera. So this is not going to be a detailed technical guide, but just a walkthrough of the features and the user interface and some of the sample pictures that you can get off of this thing. So just to start off, what is this camera? It is a monochrome waist-level viewfinder camera that is full spectrum. It's powered by the Raspberry 5 as the processor, and it uses a Sony IMX585 monochrome sensor. So start off, why would I even go out and build my own monochrome camera? If you're a photo enthusiast like me, you know that monochrome cameras are very, very expensive to get into. You can usually just get a conversion done to your existing cameras, which can be thousands of dollars, or you can go out and buy a Leica monochrome or the Pixie monochrome cameras, or even the Pentax monochrome, but that's at least $2,000 or more that you're looking to spend on a camera. Well, with this camera, I was able to build it for less than $1,000. So really, it's a lot of fun to build, and I was really surprised by the quality that I got out of this sensor. So before we get going into sample images and the user interface, let's talk through just what is on this body. So it's a waist-level viewfinder design. So to start off with, let's look at the lens and the lens mount. So it uses a standard C-mount lens. So this is a Fujinon TV lens. I've been using a lot of TV lenses on here. This works great as a native mount and really enjoy using it. But the way I designed this mount is that it also can support M42 lenses or any other full-frame lenses. So since there is a crop factor on this sensor, if you look closely here, this is the IMX585 sensor, which is a 1/1.2 inch sensor. There's going to be about a 2 times crop when you look at a full frame lens. So what I did is that, was it 2 times? Maybe it's 3. I can't remember at the top of my head, but I do have this 0.5 focal reducer that you can get for telescopes essentially. So I have that as a C mount that I have going over the C mount on the sensor. And then on the outside, I have an outer ring for an M42 mount where I can fit an M42 lens on top of here. So if I screw this on, this becomes a bit of an unwieldy camera real quick. But what I get as a feature is that now I can use my Pentax Tacumar M42 lenses on the camera, and the crop factor doesn't become super strong anymore because I have a focal reducer on here. So I essentially built a speed booster for this camera on here. So that's the lens. So let's take that off just so it doesn't become such a beast to hold. When we look at the top here, it's a 4-inch screen that I have on here. You'll get more details on the user interface, and you'll see that I have a Mamiya waist-level viewfinder attached to it. So I've designed it to have a detachable viewfinder to fit on top of the screen, and it's interchangeable. So if you don't have a Mamiya viewfinder, I also have a 3D printed cover as well that you could use to block out the sun. So that's another option that I've built for this camera. Or if you're using it in studio, which I do a lot of portrait shoots, you can just leave it wide open like this. On the side here, just the standard interface for the Raspberry Pi. Let's see if this thing actually focuses. Probably not. Right here. There you go. And you'll see that I have a USB port on there just to transfer photos. So you can use that USB port to store your images, or you can transfer it over Wi-Fi as well if you want to set that up on your camera. And finally, at the bottom here, I have 2 18650 batteries to power this. Let me just open this up for y'all. Yeah, so these are just standard 18650 batteries. I highly recommend that you don't use Amazon batteries, but getting like authentic Panasonic or LG or Sony batteries. This has a 3000 milliamp capacity for each battery, and I get about 2 to 2.5 hours of usage on this before I have to charge the batteries. So that's essentially the body of the camera. What we'll do now is that I'll switch over to my computer here, and we'll look at the user interface of this camera because I added a lot of features in here to use the camera. So let me just get over to the camera here and show you what we got going on. So when we look at the interface here, actually, you know what? Let me put a actual lens on here so you can see it focus in real time, because there's focus peaking built into this camera as well, so you can kind of see how well that works for the camera. So just to give you a preview, the lens that I'm using here is going to be the Fujinon 25mm f1.4 TV lens. So let me back up here and focus on this Fujinon, or my Pentax lens. So let's first start off with the interface. So at the very top here, you can kind of see the information. So I'm shooting at 1/117 of a second shutter speed. If I hold down the shutter button, it puts it into a mode where I can change the shutter speed. So I keep pressing the shutter button and it changes the shutter speed. So let's say I want to shoot over 1/125 of a second. Hold it down. Now it's working in there. You'll see that the battery is showing as well. It also shows me that I'm zoomed in by 2 times. So if I press on the screen, I can zoom in other areas. If I want to zoom in more, I can double tap. And then when I take an image, it's going to take the image, zoom back out to the full view of the screen. I have a histogram on the right side as well to give you the exposure settings. If you don't want to shoot in auto ISO mode, which is what it is by default, you can click the ISO button on the top left here, and you can set your ISO to different levels. So if I go to 400, obviously that's going to be a lot darker. If I go up to 1600, that should get me back to a normal exposure. I have this charging mode right here where you can set it to charge. Shows you the full details of what the battery voltage is at and the percentage. And then if you're plugging it in, it will automatically shut off when the battery's at 95%, so you can get it fully charged. So that's that feature. There's a Wi-Fi button right here where I can turn the Wi-Fi on and off on here. And then one other piece that's really useful is this film simulation piece here. So if I click this, I've built in some film simulations to mimic the look of film. So for example, if I switch to Ilford Delta 400, that's my favorite film stock essentially. It gives it this more contrasty light green kind of view of the camera. And this writes it to both the image preview and the actual image file as well. So that's that piece. And then this one feature that I built into here is changing aspect ratio. So if you ever take photos, you know that not all cameras come with every single aspect ratio when you have to crop and post. Well, in here I've kind of built it out to have my favorite aspect ratios. So this sensor by default is a 16:9 aspect ratio, but if you want to do true panoramic, you can switch it to 3:1 on here. If you want to do 4:3, if you want that more retro crop, you can go square as well. And then if you want to do something a little bit different, if you want to shoot in vertical mode, you can go by 4:5, 3:4, 9/16, and etc. So I'm a big fan of 4:3 and square, so I'm shooting in that a lot, but I got some sample images that I took in 3:1 just to try it out to give you an idea. So from a quick overview, that is the user interface, and then I guess without further ado, I'll show you some of the images that come out of here. So I'll show you the images. Some of them I took out in the street for street photography. Some of them were portraits, just to give you a different feel of full spectrum images, plus using the IR cut filter on here just to get a more natural monochrome look. And if you do want to build your own, I do have some kits available on my site, camerahacksbymalcolmj.com. If you check out the link in my bio, I have kits available with the files. If you want to build this yourself, all you really need is a 3D printer and then some experience working with a Raspberry Pi 5. If you're not very technical, I also sell fully assembled cameras that you can just go out and use. And then finally, yeah, you know what? Let's get into the images. Anyways, I realized that it was a very informal video, but just want to share this camera with you all. If you do want to build this, yeah, check out my Substack as well. I do have a lot of build guides on there, and I release a lot of new features to this camera as time goes on. So if you want to see the new stuff that I build, new software additions, or just new accessories or new sensors, feel free to check it out. The other thing I forgot to note is that I built the design on here to be very modular. So if you don't want to use the IMX585 sensor that's monochrome, I also have a non-monochrome version for the sensor on here. And I also have a version that uses the Raspberry Pi HQ sensor if you want to use something a little bit more affordable on there. So I do have those options, and they just kind of unscrew at the corners here to take off the sensor mount and change it out to something different. So made this very modular by design as well. Anyways, thank you for checking this out. Join my Substack if you want to chat. I'm always on there, and it was fun hanging out. So I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.